So we are very happy to welcome all the young students who have come in great numbers on our inaugural function for the youth, which is entitled Prerna. It is definitely giving me a lot of prerna to see so many young students assembled here. So today's topic is why one must accept Krishna consciousness in one's youth. I remember a small story told by our Gaurang Prabhu. A man was walking on the road. He saw a tent and there was an advertisement, and it was written there, Gajar Halwa, 25 paise only. So carrot halwa for 25 paise. This man became very excited. It's so cheap. Never got halwa so cheap. Entered inside. There was a man sitting on a table, and the table was empty, and there was a carrot hanging. He said, "Where is the halwa?" And the man said, in Marathi, halwa means to shake. So this is hanging, now shake it. That is what you are going to get for so cheap. But practically speaking, at the prime time of our youth, all of us are enamored and allured by these kind of signs, which promises cheap enjoyment, and we fall prey to it. Therefore, youth is a time when it is very, very important for us to take stock of where we are investing our energies, where we are investing our resources, what we are doing with God-given intelligence. And thus, today's topic is most relevant. We have entitled this program Prerna, or inspiration. I was looking through the dictionary for the meaning of the word inspiration, and I found something very interesting. 2 or 3 meanings have been given. First is filled with the ability or urge to do something. Secondly, filled with creative power. Thirdly, full of a spirit that leads to outstanding achievements. So these are some of the meanings of the word inspiration or prerna. Filled with the ability or urge to do. Now if you see in history, we find that Hiranyakashipu also had such an urge. He had an urge to do something. He had an urge to destroy all opposition, destroy all the demigods, and become the supremost power. So that is inspiration in the mode of ignorance. So inspiration can be in the 3 modes. Inspiration in the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. So what are we actually trying to convey by this prerna or inspiration? So inspiration in mode of ignorance is that which inspires someone to destroy, which leads someone on the path of destruction. As they say, the rioters were inspired by the fiery speech given by the political leader, and they destroyed the minority community. So they also had some prerna. They also had some inspiration. But for what? To destroy. Right? That is inspiration in the mode of ignorance. Then we have inspiration in the mode of passion. Just like for a young boy, if he sees a beautiful young girl, I've heard sometimes students telling, she she is my only inspiration to come to college. So that's inspiration in the mode of passion. Or someone creates something. An artist creates something. So anything which is creative in nature is inspired by the mode of passion. We have inspiration in the mode of goodness. For example, there was a great king Ashok, and after a terrible battle, when he saw such massive destruction, he was inspired to do good for humanity. He decided to become non-violent. And these are examples of inspiration in the mode of goodness. When one wants to do something charitable, one wants to assist someone, help someone. We have examples like Mother Teresa, who is inspired to help humanity, help the suffering masses, take care of the dying and the needy and the poor. So these are examples of inspiration under the influence of the modes of nature. Mode of goodness, one likes to maintain. Mode of passion, one likes to create. And under the influence of the mode of ignorance, one is inspired to destroy. So when we are advertising our program as Prerna or inspiration, what are we trying to achieve? Or what are we trying to inspire you to do? Create, maintain or destroy? Neither. So the basic motto of this program is to inspire each and every soul in the human form of life to achieve the ultimate goal of life. That is our Prerna. That is our inspiration, which is beyond the influence of the three modes. In this context, there is a nice verse which is spoken by the Avanti Brahman in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Etam sa asthaya paratmanishta adhyasitam purvatamair mahatbhir aham tarishyami durantaparam tamo mukundangrimishevayeva. So this verse by Avanti Brahman is a source of inspiration for devotees. And in this verse, Avanti Brahman is saying, Ekam sa asthaya paratmanishta, empowered with the faith, adhyasitam purvatamair mahadbhir, and following in the footsteps of the great acharyas of the past, great devotees in the past, purvatamair maharshibhir, following in the footsteps of great souls like Srila Prabhupada and all the great acharyas. We are hereby inspired to do what? Aham tarishyami durantaparam. We are inspired to be determined to cross the ocean of nescience. Aham tarishyami durantaparam. This ocean of birth and death is vast, huge, dense and dark, and it is miserable. Death is an unknown factor. It is fearful. So Avanti Brahman is saying, I am determined to cross this ocean of birth and death, which is durantaparam, practically impossible to cross. Tamo mukundangrimishevayeva. If it is impossible to cross, what is the hope for us? Mukunda, or the giver of liberation, is our only hope. Krishna is also known as Mukunda, or the giver of liberation. Tamo mukunda angrimishevayeva. By taking shelter of the beautiful, divine lotus-like feet of Krishna, it is possible for us to cross this ocean of material existence. And having obtained this human form of life, which is a suitable boat, which can help us cross this ocean, and having born in this most wonderful Bharatvarsh, and having obtained the association of devotees in this most magnanimous Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, all the factors are in our favor. Therefore, this verse is our Prerna, is our inspiration. Aham tarishyami durantaparam. It is my duty in the human form of life to endeavor to cross the ocean of birth and death, and I shall do it, and I shall be inspired to do it, and I shall take all the steps necessary in this life itself to make all suitable arrangements to achieve this goal. And thus one becomes determined. Therefore, that is the motto for our program. So we are neither encouraging you to be inspired in the mode of goodness, passion or ignorance, but our prerna is transcendental. Our inspiration is transcendental. We want to cross beyond this material world and enter into the beautiful realms of the spiritual world, where it is full of knowledge and full of bliss, where all the inabilities of material existence cease to exist. So with this introduction, I would like to right away enter into the topic, which is also equally relevant, and that is, why should we accept Krishna consciousness in youth? And many of you may say, that's fine, we agree, we have to cross this ocean, enter into the spiritual world, but what's the hurry? The whole life is there, right? And there are so many things which cannot be done in old age, which can be done in youth. As far as taking shelter of Mukunda, that can be done in old age also. Right? So let me have the best of both the worlds. Let me have the cake and eat it too. So let me enjoy first, and then experience everything, and then empowered with these realizations, I will take shelter of Mukunda when I am 60, 70 years old. Not now. Do not tell me to chant Hare Krishna. Do not tell me to come to the satsang. These are programs meant for oldies. We are young guys. We have fire in our belly. We are inspired to do something in life. If we take to Krishna consciousness, we will lose all our ambitions. We will become eunuchs. Therefore, we will not take it now. When the appropriate time comes, we will take to it. So many arguments are presented about not taking to Krishna consciousness. As many people are sitting in this room, as many arguments can be given. Therefore, it is very important to understand and appreciate this topic from a proper perspective. So we'll discuss some of the points which we have been giving in these lectures last so many years. Why we must accept this process in one's youth. So the first point is the basic question: who is young and who is old? What is the definition of youth and old? So generally in a smaller group, we have an interaction and we ask people, what do you think? Who is young? What is youth? What is the definition of old age? This, that. But some of the typical responses people give is that when I cannot walk any longer, I am old. That means so many people are crippled. There are 20-year-olds not having legs, so they are old. Some people say, when I can't chew my food properly, that means I am old. When my teeth fall off, I am old. Somebody may meet with an accident at the age of 15 and lose all the teeth. So at the age of 15 he becomes old overnight. Some people say, when I can't digest my food properly, then I am old. So someone suffers from indigestion, he is old. Some people say, when I have achieved all my desires in life, then I will become old. Till that time I am not old. So ask any 80-year-old man, have you achieved all your desires? Say no. That is young. Go on. He is still young. Some people say, when my hair all fall off, then I am old. So yours truly sitting here. I am the oldest. Taken off everything. Some people say, when my hair go white, then I will become old. But I have seen so many 30-year-old, 35-year-old, 40-year-old. Their hairs are white. And I have seen people 60, 65 years old whose hair are still black. And if someone's hair is white and he dyes the hair, he becomes young. So many arguments are given about what is young, what is old. But suffice to say that from the spiritual perspective, there is only one understanding of youth and old age. And that is, what is the proximity to death? What is your proximity to death? To the extent one is close to death, he is defined as old. And to the extent one is far away from death, he is defined as young. So there may be an 80-year-old man who may live for 20 more years. And there may be a 15-year-old boy who may be dying tomorrow. So who is young? Yes? 80-year-old man. Why? Because he still has 20 more years. He still has 20 more years. Whereas this 15-year-old boy is going to die. So the proximity to death determines our youth or old age. And therefore this argument that I still have a lot of time at my disposal has no locus standi from the spiritual perspective, because death can come at any moment. I have been preaching in JJ, Grand Medical College, for several years. I will give you an interesting example. There was a young boy, passed his third year MBBS, results came out, and he had passed with distinction. He used to come sometimes to our programs. That day also was our program, it was a Thursday evening, and that night also happened to be a Dandiya program in the campus, some other place. So this fellow in the evening had a heavy dinner, and after that he had a choice to come to the kirtan, to attend the program, or go to the Dandiya. So then his friend said, "Hey, kahan jata hai yaar? Come, let's go for this Dandiya." He said, no, but I've been going here, but I feel I can go there also. He said, girls come here. He said, no, only boys. Hey, what's the point? Come here. So he went with them. And then an interesting thing happened. He started dancing. And then he went on dancing for a couple of hours. And then suddenly after 2 hours of dancing, he had palpitations. And he fell down on the ground. He was taken by his fellow students and brought to the emergency. And within half an hour, he was declared dead. The cause? Massive heart attack at the age of 22. Right? And then the news came to us, and then we expressed our regret But the point is that someone may be of any age, death comes any moment. I had a friend. He had a daughter first, and then after 10 years of the daughter's birth, he had a son. Very sweet looking. He became very attached to him. He was almost 1 year old. He was planning to prepare his first birthday. So his son, his small baby, was in the mother's arms. In his mother's, that means the grandmother's arms. And then she was in the kitchen cooking. And this baby's face was towards the shelf. And then this baby put his hand on the shelf, and there was the weight of the pressure cooker. So this baby took the weight of the pressure cooker, put it in his mouth. And then the mother was seeing that the pressure cooker weight is going into his mouth. She tried to catch hold of his hand, but it was too late. He had already swallowed it. It went to his throat, started choking him. So the father was inside taking bath, and before the father could come out, some of the neighbors came and took this child away to some hospital in the city. Whereas the neighbor itself, another neighbor, was a doctor. Rather than taking him there, they took him to the city. But by the time they reached, the baby was dead. Small 1-year-old boy, accident. Anytime, anything can happen. You know the famous ghazal singer Jagjit Singh. So previously he would sing all kinds of ghazals. He had a son. He was driving at night, some say in inebriated condition. There was an accident. He died. Jagjit Singh stopped singing ghazals. From that time he is singing only bhajans. He got realization that life is uncertain and death can come at any moment. Therefore, one has to realize this for a fact, that as far as death is concerned, death can come at any moment in one's life. As Radheshyam Prabhu was mentioning few Sundays back in the Tranquil Shower series, that people are fighting for equal rights, but that is provided only by death. Equal rights for everyone. Everyone will die. That is the only equal right we can claim. Therefore, we have to appreciate this fact that we do not have time. At any moment, death can come and snatch this valuable human life away from us. Therefore, every moment is precious. To the extent we utilize and invest our time in Krishna consciousness, to that extent we will get massive gains. And to the extent we invest our time and energy in this temporary body, in the pursuit of ephemeral pleasures, to that extent we will lose. As the example is given, if a company brings out an ad saying that we have a new issue, invest in this company, buy the shares, we guarantee you, after buying these shares, within 1 year, this company is going to be destroyed. They are going to close down after 1 year. But please buy these shares. How many will buy these shares? Only someone who is really crazy will buy the shares. Why? Because they have already advertised that this company is going to go bust. Similarly, how many have doubt that this body is going to collapse? This body is ultimately meant for destruction, and whatever efforts we may make to protect this body, it will be ultimately futile. Therefore, at any moment death can come, and we have to make arrangements to counteract this great problem of death. So, this is the first point, that as far as death is concerned, death can come at any moment. We do not know today, tomorrow, after a few weeks. But the nature of this material consciousness is, we read about death, we hear about death, we see death. But in spite of reading and hearing and seeing death all around, we feel completely comfortable and at ease, thinking that in my case there may be an exception. I may be given a choice. When the agents of death come, I will file a petition, right? Or I will fight a case. I will plead with them. But that's a futile attempt. When death comes, no one can postpone it, therefore time is short. At any moment, we can lose this life, and so we should take to this process of Krishna consciousness as soon as possible. Whatever years we have at our disposal, whatever moments, whatever time we have with us, is very, very precious. Do not take it for granted that now I will just take things easy, then I may grow old, then I will become really serious. Because at any moment this life can be finished. Secondly, another point which comes into the picture is, one feels that in one's youth, you may argue that Prabhuji, what you are saying is very nice, it's very philosophical, we agree, but these desires are so terrible from within, you know. It's just like volcano erupting at every moment, that how is it possible that we can wait till, you know, all these desires are over and then it is not possible. First, we have to fulfill these desires, and then when these desires are completely extinguished, then we will take to this process. Because we want to practice Krishna consciousness in peaceful state, you know. And now mind is not peaceful. We see some young girl, we feel attracted. So why we should artificially practice Krishna consciousness? We should practice this bhakti naturally. Everything we should do naturally. So when we feel like having illicit sex, we should have illicit sex naturally. We feel like smoking, we should smoke naturally. We feel like gambling, we should gamble. So whatever desires come, we should do naturally. And then when naturally everything has gone out, then we will take to Krishna consciousness naturally. That will never happen. Why? Because material desires never decrease naturally. That is the law. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Avratam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. My dear Arjun, as far as these lusty desires are concerned, do not think that these desires will decrease. The more you try to fulfill your desires, the more these desires will increase. Now it may be in the form of a tiny puny spark. You pour the gasoline of sense gratification, it will convert into a blazing inferno. Such a conflagration beyond your capacity to control. And with all the resources at your disposal, you cannot extinguish it. It will be too late to call the fire brigade. Therefore, the nature of these desires is, do not think these desires decrease with age. These desires go on increasing. Whatever desires you have, an average 18-year-old boy, the same desires 80-year-old man has. In fact, he may have more, and is more frustrated because he is unable to fulfill those desires. Now, I don't want you to go and ask people, sir, you also have like that? I heard in lecture. I just want to confirm. I always thought you are very gentleman. Everyone calls you gentleman. But I heard that you are not so gentle from within. But it's a fact. Don't embarrass people by asking. But Shastras are enough. So as far as Shankaracharya is concerned, he says, Angam galitam palitam mundam dashana vihinam jatam tundam vruddhoyati grihitva dandam tadapi namunchati asha pindam. He describes the condition in old age. Angam galitam. All the anga, or the limbs of the body, galitam, gal gaye, melted. Just like candle. How it looks, fresh candle, and after the candle is burnt and melted, how it looks, galitam. Right? You can't figure out which is the top of the candle, which is the bottom. So in old age, things happen like that. Palitam mundam. All the hairs which were countless in number in youth can now be counted in old age. Dashana vihinam jatam tundam. At the beginning of youth, the score of the teeth was 32. But as age progresses, the team decreases. So many are out. Right. Vruddhoyati grihitva dandam. Previously 2 legs were sufficient. Now he needs the third one. Dandam. Not sannyas dandam. A walking stick. Tadapi namunchati asha pindam. But still the desires within are not decreasing. It is just increasing more and more and more. This is reality. This is fact. Do not think how it is possible. These are the words of the scriptures. These are the words of the acharyas. And this reality, this is experience, which is actually the experience of many people who have spent their lives in the vain pursuit of sense gratification and hedonistic libertine philosophies. But they are experiencing this frustration and depression. And therefore this term is there in Hindi, Satyagya. Why? Because after 60, his desires are troubling him. He can't fulfill those desires. Anyone says anything, he becomes irritable. He becomes angry. He can't appreciate anything. Why? Because of unfulfilled desires. Therefore, unless one does something to decrease this flame of desires is not going to decrease automatically on its own. Know it for a fact. Do not think that now at the age of 20, when you see a young girl, you are attracted. Automatically by the age of 60, when you see a young girl, she will appear to be some goddess. Don't think, simply by the passage of age, things change. No. You have to work. You have to practice. You have to create a transformation within. And that must start now. To the extent dirt is accumulated, to that extent effort is required to cleanse it. If a room is dirty, simply by the passage of time the room doesn't become clean. Our heart is like a room which is dirty, filled with all kinds of filth. It is black. All kinds of sediments is deposited there. How do you expect that simply by the passage of time, all this horrible dirt, this sticky substance which is there within the heart in the form of anarthas, will simply be released? It's impossible. Unless you cleanse a room repeatedly, unless you make efforts to clean a room, the room doesn't become sparkling clean. If any object is there, it will only become more and more dirty if kept just like that. So there is no principle that by the passage of time, the heart will become clean. One needs a process, a specific process. And that has to be started at an early age. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada was asked this question by one of his disciples, that Srila Prabhupada, in youth we find that the desires are so terrible and we are being tossed up and down by these desires. It's like we are in the midst of an ocean. So how to control ourselves? Prabhupada said this human body is like a boat. So the boat is given, you are on the ocean. Do not think the nature of the ocean is going to change. The nature of the ocean is not going to change. The ocean will remain the same. Right? But what will change? The boatman's expertise may change. So initially a boatman is not expert, he is immature and he is unable to control the boat. And the boat rocks to and fro. And he is thrown apart in the boat and he feels out of control. So that's our condition now. Because of the influence of the waves of desires, we are thrown about, tossed about, and we feel uncomfortable. But if we become expert boatmen, we will be able to maneuver the boat smoothly and fly through the turbulent, tempestuous waters of this material existence and reach the cool, serene shores of the spiritual side. That is a guarantee, and Srila Prabhupada is mentioning it. Therefore, one should not feel that simply by the passage of time our desires will change. Whatever desires we have in the youth, those desires continue on and it goes on increasing, doesn't leave us automatically. In one of the Puranas, in Narsingha Puran, there is one nice story. There was a businessman who had two sons. And these two sons felt that the father has spent his whole life in business. We must send him for some pilgrimage. So he was sent on some pilgrimage with a sadhu. And the sadhu was given some money. And the sons told the sadhu, do not bring the father back. His heart must get converted and let him pass his time there in pilgrimage spots. Let him leave his body there only. So he was taken to various spots, various places. But the sadhu became frustrated that this businessman's heart was not melting at all. He just remained as hard-hearted as ever. So he went to Vrindavan, Mathura, he went to Jagannath Puri, Badrika Ashram, Jizdan, all the places. Finally the sadhu was about to give up. And he called back the sons and said, your father is too much. He is like a hardcore businessman. So the son said, no, you must not give up, you must still try. So he took him as a last resort in Varanasi to one of the burning huts, crematorium. And as soon as this businessman entered the crematorium, they saw a dead body on a log of wood burning. And this businessman started crying. Tears filled up his eyes. And these tears started pouring down his cheeks. And the sadhu felt ecstatic. At last, transformation, change. Great! I'm successful. He turned to this fellow, placed his hand upon his shoulders and said, what do you feel now? How do you feel about life now? And this businessman said, I feel really bad. I feel terrible. I said, really? Why? Why you feel terrible? Tell me. And the businessman said, I did business my whole life in cloth. If I knew that there is so much demand for wood, I would have done business in wood. How I wasted my whole life. I am feeling so bad about it. The sadhu retired from his business. So as far as desires are concerned, do not think simply by the passage of time desires will evaporate automatically. No, one has to make effort. If you do not start making efforts now, which is the prime time, then over a period of time it may become impossible. Third, there is an old saying that as far as habits are concerned, it is very easy to change habits in one's youth. And it is very, very difficult to change one's habits in one's old age. So all of us have certain habits: eating habits, sleeping habits, mating habits, depending habits. And all of us have a desire to change those habits. And we feel that in my youth and my middle age I will continue having this habit, automatically in old age the habits will change. No. A person who is a slave of his habit is the most tortured person. He feels miserable. Therefore, habits are very, very difficult to overcome. Very, very difficult to uproot. As the saying goes, habit is like soft bed, easy to get in, difficult to come out. Therefore, one has to change one's habits in one's youth. Otherwise, it becomes difficult. Example is given just like bamboo. When it is green, it can be bent. When it becomes old, it becomes firm. If you try to bend it, it just breaks. Or as another saying goes, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Right? So some of you may have experience dealing with dogs. So when the puppy is small, say a few months old or 1 year old, that time you can teach the puppy. Sit down, the puppy sits down. Shake hand, so he takes his hand. Shake this hand. So in effect these are some of the 2-3 tricks you can teach a dog. Now when the puppy is grown into a big dog, now is 8 years old, at that time you give some new order. Okay, shake hand, jump, jump. He'll keep doing the same thing because he doesn't know anything beyond that. And you try to teach him how to jump, he can't learn now. It's too old. And he starts feeling pity on the master. He feels master has gone crazy. Something is wrong with him. You know, he has forgotten his formulae. 3 standard formulae he taught me in the beginning. I think he's gone crazy. Poor guy. Must be frustrated in life. That's what he thinks. So actually speaking, you can't teach old dog new tricks. Therefore right now we are all young dogs. So we can be taught new tricks. And therefore Krishna consciousness may be absolutely new to us. And some of the things which we come across or hear or see may appear to be too fantastic. Or we may feel it is impossible. I can never do this. I mean, this is alright for them, but I can never practice this. No. It is possible to everyone to practice this process of Krishna consciousness. It is a matter of changing one's habits. And therefore, as Srila Prabhupada explains, that just like a person with training can learn anything, in Krishna consciousness one needs training. And this is the right time for training. Somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, why do we see that most of your followers are young? Most of the followers in Hare Krishna are young. Why? So Prabhupada's counter question, he said, why are most of the people in schools and colleges young? Why don't we have people first working and then in the old age going to school and college? So the reporter was bewildered. He said, come on. I mean, school and college is for young people only. Because that's the age for learning. Prabhupada said, exactly. This is the time for learning. The youth is the time for learning. If you want people to learn certain principles and internalize it, it takes time. Therefore, this is the appropriate time. Otherwise, once the habits are formed, it is practically impossible to change. Therefore, this process of chanting and following 4 principles may appear to be difficult, but it is possible to learn. And then once you learn it, everything becomes very easy. So have hope. Know that so many in this audience have started off not knowing anything, have started off with all kinds of vague habits, right? But then over a period of time, they have changed. In fact, I remember when I was in college in IIT, I had never seen sunrise, never seen what sunrise looks like, never got up before 7:30 or 8 in the morning. But then with practice, it became possible. First time devotees came and told me that we get up at 4:30. I was bewildered, started counting. How many hours before 8 is that? 7, 6, 5, approximately 4 hours before. That is peak midnight for me. That's impossible. But I can never follow this process. So the devotee was preaching, said, okay, don't worry. You start getting up at 7:45. Give concession 15 minutes. So okay, fine. Decrease by 15 minutes. Then after a few weeks, okay, now get up at 7:30. Okay, not much. 15 minutes. Then get up at 7:15. Then 7, 6:45, 6:30. So 15 minutes at a time you slice your waking up time, and then in due course of time, it's possible. So someone may be smoking 10 packs a day. No problem. From tomorrow, smoke 9 packs. So don't just quote this one statement. Hare Krishna devotee says, smoke 9 packs. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna. That is the power of this chanting. Do not underestimate the power of this chanting of the Maha Mantra. You just chant this Maha Mantra 2 rounds for 1 month, and we guarantee you, whatever troubles you are facing in coping up with your habits, you will see a distinct change. You will feel such a surcharge of spiritual energy erupting from the core of your heart that all of these problems will become insignificant. Therefore, we encourage all of you to start chanting this Maha Mantra every day, if possible on beads, at least 2 rounds. There are many in this audience who are chanting more than 2 rounds. Many of you are chanting 16 rounds. How many of you in this audience are chanting 16 rounds? Please raise hands. See, there are so many young students like all of the others who are chanting 16 rounds. Were you chanting 16 rounds from birth? How many were chanting 16 rounds from their first birthday? Raise hands. How many have started chanting 16 rounds very recently, in the last 5 years? So all of them have started new. So it's possible for others also to do it. So if you simply are sincere and you take the proper guidance, anyone can chant. And in front of the power of chanting, all of these other problems become very, very insignificant. Therefore, we encourage you to take proper guidance and chant this Maha Mantra every day. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Another point is, the 4th point, as far as responsibilities and attachments are concerned, the responsibility and attachments are very less in one's youth. As one spends time in life, the responsibilities go on increasing, attachments go on increasing, and the amount of mental focus which one can have decreases. It becomes very difficult to focus one's attention. Therefore, this is the prime time where all your responsibilities are at a minimum. Most of you are students, and practically the only responsibility is go to college, study, and maybe clear the exam also. Some of you may have accepted that as a responsibility. Others may have felt it is the college's responsibility. But whatever it is, that at least we are all studying, and that you feel is the only thing. And I don't think in India, majority of the people, for them, everything is provided for by the parents. That's kind of taken for granted. Majority of the cases, students go to college and the parents send the money. So you don't have to bother about where the money is coming from. And you're not bothered about taking care of wife and children. Right? You have a hard time taking care of yourself right now. Therefore, that's the only responsibility. Studies. And all of your time and energy can be saved for this most wonderful path, for chanting Hare Krishna and understanding Bhagavad Gita. The human intelligence is the most powerful, but this most powerful human intellect is underutilized. This most powerful intelligence has been given not for creating nuclear bombs. This most powerful intelligence has been given to solve the most difficult problem, the problem of death. Therefore, we must use this most powerful penetrating intelligence of the human body to understand the most powerful sound vibration, Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, as far as all of you are concerned, you must take out time. Understand the Gita, understand the scriptures, understand why we are chanting this Hare Krishna mantra, why we must be interested in this process. So much of time you have at your disposal. As time progresses, all other responsibilities will accumulate. Right now you feel the greatest tension is exams. Right. People feel, my God, exams is the biggest problem. Just before exams, students become philosophical. At least in our JJ, many times I have seen that maximum attendance is during exam time in our programs. And many people become so dazed because of the stress of exams. They feel that student community is the most deprived community, the most miserable lot. I had one friend just before exams, he would look at the dog and he would say, so lucky. Just see how peacefully he's sitting. No problem, yaar. No exam, no tension. देखो क्या सो रहा है देखो आराम से. So he feels like that. But then actually speaking, if you grow up in life, you get married, you have children, you will realize every day is like an exam. Then at that time you will remember your school days, college days. What exams you used to have. It was fun, no? Therefore, one should know that this is the right time. Otherwise responsibilities will increase beyond one's capacity to handle. So like that, there are various reasons which one can quote as to why one must accept this process in one's youth. But I would like to end here and ask for questions. This can go on, we have so many reasons also. But I would like to end here and request if there are any questions or clarifications, because after that there is also a very nice show, pantomime, and then after that there will be prasadam. So we have, we can pass the mic, and if anyone has any questions, you can ask. Yes? Who? Yes? Someone from the sound system is here? Yes.
Haribol Prabhuji.
Yes.
First of all, thanks for a very wonderful class. My question is, Prabhuji, I'm a student So like as our Guru said, like we should follow the regulatory principle, and like in regulatory principle also, like I stopped going to movies, I stopped eating non-veg. So being a student, like all of my friends doesn't follow this kind of principle. So they always like say to me, "Kya re yaar, ye kya kar raha hai? Tu pagal ho gaya." Like always chastise me like. So there is chances like Prabhuji, like I
start believing them.
Yeah. No, not believing them. Like धीरे-धीरे जब तक force कर रहे थे like.
So you start following them.
So there is chances to fall down. So what should I do like?
There are chances to fall down. Achha. Generally, we begin in fallen condition only, and we try to elevate ourselves, and it's a very valid point. Many times we are in such a friend circle that it's practically impossible to convince them. And generally it always happens that if you become a devotee, your first desire is to make all my friends devotees. The friends with whom I used to smoke and drink, with whom I used to sit in the bar, or with whom I used to go to the discos and see movies, with whom we used to sit on the nukkad, just spend our time. Devotee becomes excited, he finds something exciting, and immediately he gets the desire. I must tell it to everyone, all my dear friends. They must all get the benefit of this. They must all become devotee of Krishna. And he says, come, all of you. They say, come on, what's happened? The new movie has been released or what? Sit down, what happened? We are not the body. I am not the body, I am the soul. And they look at you as if they are sympathizing with you. First they look at each other and wonder, kya khaya tha isne? What has happened? Maybe he went for a drink alone? He didn't call us this time? Something's wrong. Or they call up a doctor and say, something has happened to our friend. Or they call up his parents. आपके बेटे को कुछ हो गया है. Right? So therefore, it is quite natural because nobody wants to be Krishnadas. Everyone wants to be Devdas. So, very true that very few will follow what you are saying. Everyone wants sense gratification. If you say surrender, that is something we have heard in movies when the police holds the gun on the, criminal. Surrender, he says. And we come to the lecture and they say, surrender! So, ye kahan gaye bhai? Right. So, therefore you have to attend Prerna. So when you come here and you see a group of a nice mixture of all dedicated students taking to Krishna consciousness who don't care two hoots for where the world is going, and everyone is convinced we must follow Krishna consciousness, we must follow celibacy, we must follow the four principles, then you get the strength. So come out of that utopian idea that I can make my whole friend circle devotee. That attachment has to be given up. That is a test. All of us have to go through. Everyone goes through that test. So initial periods are very testing. You are torn between your love and affection for your so-called friends and your attraction to Krishna consciousness. Both are contrary. And you are trying and fighting hard. Somehow I can bring all these guys, to Hare Krishna, then we can dance and chant together. But sometimes it happens, but most of the time it does not. When it does not happen, you should know, real friends are those who help me progress in Krishna consciousness. You try, they don't come, cut, finished. They are out of your life. There is no shortage of friends. You can make many, many new, wonderful, fantastic friends in Krishna consciousness. So do not feel that what will happen to me. Do not feel you are the only person practicing Krishna consciousness. It's a worldwide movement. Millions and millions of souls are practicing this process. Therefore, initially, our faith is very weak and fragile. So we feel, because we also are attracted to that. It's not that you give up smoking, drinking or some of the other habits, stop seeing movies. It's not that your taste goes away. You still have that taste. And therefore when you see the other friends doing the same thing, it's that initial transformation phase. That in that period you have to stay away little bit. Because if you keep on associating too much, you'll again be dragged back, sucked in by the powerful energy. Therefore, we would recommend that many of you have groups in your colleges, in your hostels, or if you do not have, if you are a Bombayite, then in your locality there may be groups of devotees, there may be satsang, every Sunday there is satsang here. Make friends amongst devotees. And one of the objectives of conducting this monthly program of youth is to provide a forum for those who feel that they do not have any friends in Krishna consciousness. So you can have a look around across this room and you have potentially 200 friends to choose from. You can have a pick according to your chemistry, so you do not lose anything. Right? Do not be eager for girlfriends here. Only boyfriends. Right? So it's possible. So it takes time.
Thank you. Another question, Roji. Like most of our time we are in this material. Like most of our time we spend in this material. Like so, how to maintain our consciousness? Like we are out of this temple then.
How to maintain your consciousness?
Yeah, Krishna consciousness.
It's a balancing act. Prabhupada gives the example of a woman in a village who carries a pot on the head. So the pot is there on the head, two pots are there on the head, and one pot is there in one arm, one baby is there on another arm, and she is walking through the village street, sees a vegetable seller, buys some vegetables also. She is carrying all of that without touching the pots on the head even once. So how she is balancing the pots? The pots don't fall off. Similarly, we may be engaged in so many activities, but we must have our balance. Mind must be fixed in Krishna. So what does that mean? Does that mean that when you are opening your study books, you start seeing Krishna? Or you keep the book and start chanting Hare Krishna at the same time trying to read the book? Or that in your exams you write the Maha Mantra everywhere? Right? No, it's a very, very mature process. That means, first of all, you must begin the day spiritually. So get up in the morning, take a bath, chant. For those who are not chanting, chant 2 rounds, 4 rounds, and then you read 1 or 2 pages of Bhagavad Gita. So that's your charging up for the day. Then you proceed ahead with other activities. So there may be challenges during the day. Arjuna was also busy. He had a tough task in front of him. He had to fight a massive battle. But before that, Arjuna took out some time. Arjuna, he had very important responsibility of fighting. But still he cared to spare 1 hour. Why? To hear. Arjuna was experiencing palpitations. There was perspiration. Vepathusya sarirele roma harsasya jayate. Arjuna was perspiring profusely. And Krishna was looking at Arjuna and saying, what is this? On the battlefield, Arjuna, perspiration? Now you need inspiration. So perspiration is the opposite of inspiration. So throughout the day, if you have to go through perspiration, it is only possible when you have spiritual inspiration in the morning. And that inspiration keeps you going. And then after hearing the entire Gita, Arjuna's illusions were dispelled. And then he became ready to fight. Nashto moho smritir labdhva tvat prasadat mayachita sitokhyadara samleya karishye vachanam tava. Therefore, you chant, you study Gita, attend every Sunday program here. Come at 12:30. You can all dance in Kirtan. We don't charge anything. It's free. There is a discotheque here on Marine Drive. It's called RG's. Right? It's one of the most popular joints for the youth there. They charge a hefty price for entry. Even water inside costs 30 rupees. I have not gone there, but I've heard. I see surprised looks on some faces. I've heard. So this is also RG's, Radha Gopinath. But here you can dance for free. Men separate, ladies separate. For the pleasure of Radha Gopinath. Right? And the kind of kirtan you can have here, the kind of enjoyment you can have here, you cannot have anywhere else. So Krishna consciousness is everyday party. It's party time. Singing, dancing, feasting. Life is fun. Right? Fun ka doz, har roz. That's Hare Krishna. So take to the Hare Krishna mantra, chant Hare Krishna, take Krishna Prasad, hear Bhagavatam, hear Gita. You have a mission in life. Otherwise people outside are bored to death. That's all. You don't have to take any opinion poll. They are just bored to death. Because all of us are bored to death. So we are a representative sample. If we were all bored, we can understand everyone is bored. And they are simply trying to chew the chewed. Therefore have some mission in life, do something in life. And that's possible here. So come to this temple every week, get inspired. And then in the middle of the week there are arrangements all over Mumbai, there are satsang programs, college programs, attend those. If you feel the benefit, distribute it to others. Take some responsibility. So if you have some inspiration to do something positive, you will be enthused. And you will become a perfect instrument for enthusing and inspiring others. Right? Next question.
Prabhuji, how should we deal with our parents?
How should we deal with the parents? Very respectfully?
Prabhuji, because till now I was in the hostel. Till period of 1 year. I was in hostel.
Okay.
I'm now going home. So many problems I am facing.
Facing many problems. Okay.
Parents are telling that how much you are doing, how much you are chanting.
How much you are chanting? So you should say 16 rounds.
Hence, Prabhuji, you are chanting so much rounds, wasting your time. Like this, such questions.
So that's a very important question. Many times parents are bewildered. Why my son is doing like this? They feel he's just uselessly spending his time. But I would say majority of the times the son is not representing the movement properly at home. 90% of the cases I have seen that a son after coming to Hare Krishna, he becomes over smart when he goes home. Right? He goes home from the hostel after coming to know about Gita, and mother says, "Beta, how are you?" Said, "I am not this body. I am this soul." "Beta, क्या हो गया? मैं माँ हूँ." "माँ नहीं, माया." Said, "My God, what has happened to this guy?" but they still tolerate, and you are sleeping peacefully next day, sitting and chanting or reading, and mother says, "Beta, go and buy some potatoes from the market." No, I don't do mundane activities. These are all mundane, materialistic activities. I engage only in spiritual activities. क्या है ये? Batata, huh? That is the goal of life? To go and buy batata from market? You have not read Gita? So one becomes prematurely transcendental. So that creates big conflict at home. So one gets an excuse for his irresponsibility. One starts philosophizing his irresponsible behavior. So one's behavior continues to be as irresponsible, but it is now backed up with Shastric quotes. So that misrepresents the movement. Right. And many times young brothers and sisters come and they want to hear something, or they say, "भैया मुझे ये सिखा दो." टाइम नहीं है, गीता पढ़ो. क्या ये स्कूल कॉलेज का किताब पढ़ रहा है? All spiritual slaughterhouses. So if you say like these at home, what do you think? So my experience is that the sons who have demonstrated excellent behavior after becoming devotees, taking more responsibility in household activities, helping other family members, becoming more loving to brothers and sisters, becoming more loving and caring towards parents. Which parent will not like? Right? If you go and offer obeisances to parents every day, morning and evening, you think they will object? You think they will say, "What you are doing, don't do like this"? No. They will be pleasantly surprised. ये क्या हो गया? This guy used to just be into hi, hello, and now he is, so respectful. Right? And previously you may not be giving so much time to other family members. Take more responsibility. So you must be mature in your dealings. Do not be immature. Yasyasya bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunair tatra samadhate suraha. So one's disposition must become divine, not that he becomes aggressive. So even if there is opposition, you must remain gentle and humble. And then slowly over a period of time, if you remain gentleman, if you remain very humble, equipoised, then by your very beautiful spiritual divine demeanor, hearts will change. So you must have that faith. And then they will also take to Krishna consciousness. We have so many examples of devotees here who have transformed their parents' hearts, and they have taken to Krishna consciousness because of the son's very strong Krishna conscious understanding and behavior. So initial opposition will be there, right? But you must tolerate and you must become more positive in your behavior at home. So behavior is the most important thing. Don't think I can explain everything to them by philosophy. If your mother and father not understanding, you can't say, "I will make them sit down and then I will take a 6-day Gita course for them." It never works that way. So you have to be practical and do things in your life which will make them really inspired. Another problem, son starts chanting and then his grades go down. Previously he used to get first class, now he starts getting second class. And parents say, "What happened?" क्या करें, chanting करना पड़ता है. Why you are chanting there? So grades are going down. Now ultimately the final exam I am preparing. I am preparing for the final exam. But what about this exam? Why grades are going down? These exams will keep coming and going. They are all temporary. At final exam I am preparing very nicely. So what do you expect? The parents will keep smiling? They are working hard, sending you money for your education, so it's your responsibility to study. If you don't study, what do you think? They will keep saying, "Shabas beta, फेल हुआ कोई बात नहीं, कितने सब्जेक्ट में? अच्छा, नो, so you have to study well, you have to show good behavior, and you have to have nice dealings and take responsibility. Slowly their hearts will transform, because most of the time they have misconception about this movement, misconception about Hare Krishna, which all of us had, right? So slowly it will take time. Any other question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
As a hostelite, we have many
keep the mic near your.
As a hostelite, we have many interactions with seniors and our batchmates. But most of them say कि it's abnormal, they सब जो है, they are हटके हैं. So how should we react to them?
They say you are भटके हैं.
हाँ.
So you should know that in a fool's paradise it is folly to be wise, Prabhupada says. So they are saying ये सब भटके हैं. These people have lost the right way. So naturally, if majority are doing something, you see a long line, one following the other, and finally they are jumping off the cliff. You know, the person behind is seeing only the person in front, and he is seeing the person in front, but they are running at such a fast speed. By the time the person reaches the edge, he doesn't have time to stop, so he jumps. So the person behind him feels there must be some hope below, so let me also follow. But everyone is jumping down, and if someone comes out in the middle intelligently, thinking that I should not fall, others start ridiculing. What is this? He is deviating. But actually speaking, you are taking the right path, the safe path. Therefore, one should never follow blindly. Prabhupada said, blind leading the blind, both fall into the ditch. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he gives this story. There was a drunkard, and the sadhu was trying to preach to the drunkard. You must not drink, you will go to hell. But Arun Babu is also drinking, he will also go to hell. But Barun Babu is also drinking, he will also go to hell. Acha? What else leads to hell? I also do gambling. So sadhu said, definitely if you gamble you will go to hell. But then Arun Babu also does, and Sudhin Babu also does, he will also go to hell. And what about Bhamini, the prostitute whom we visit? Definitely she will also go to hell. But me and 3-4 of our friends also visit her, they will all go to hell. And I said, if everyone is going to hell, what is the problem in going to hell? You will have nice time there in hell. So if that's the logic, then what can be done? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says that majority of the people, they are not concerned. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma. Right. If you are in a lunatic asylum, all the lunatics are convinced. Right. All the lunatics are convinced that they are normal. And the doctor who comes to see them, he is crazy. All the lunatics are convinced. So each one is thinking in a different way what he is not. So if someone comes and tells them that actually someone is saying, I am Sachin Tendulkar. They say, no, you are not like that. So others will laugh. They say, he has got crazy. So the doctor is deemed crazy by the others. Therefore you don't worry about that. You try to understand that as far as spiritual knowledge is concerned, it is not in much demand. The demand is more for material sense gratification. Right? Teaching is difficult task, but you must keep going ahead, whether people accept or not. So there may be opposition, but Krishna says, you just give this knowledge to others, you become very dear to me. So whether people accept or not, you keep speaking this philosophy. Even if you make mistakes, don't worry. continue preaching. Don't feel what will happen. Oh, I've been defeated. Oh, I've been proved wrong once. I've lost this argument. Oh, what should I do? Don't stop. Even if you lose an argument, continue. I remember when I was in college, before my campus interview, one of my seniors was telling me, giving me fun days, that in campus interview, whatever happens, even if you make a mistake, keep confident faith and continue just giving answers. Even if you have made mistake, don't worry. Continue speaking, and then everything will be alright. And he told one anecdote. He said one time one man went for an interview and he was asked by this person so many questions and he answered, and final questions was about English test and he had to give opposites to different words. So he said, okay, now I will speak a word, you speak the opposite to that word. So the candidate said yes. So the interviewer said, good. And the man said, bad. Black. Said white. Ugly. Said pichli. So the interviewer said, what is this? Interviewer said, wrong. This man said, right. Said, shut up. Said, I will speak. Interviewer said, get out. Said, I will stay. Interviewer said, you are rejected. Man said, I am selected. Interviewer said, okay, you are selected. This guy does not give up. He continues so much. He is so determined. He is unfazed by mistakes. No one can shake him. We want person of this kind of determination. Okay, he is not afraid of making mistakes. Even if he makes mistakes, he continues. Right. So your friends may come and say, "ये तुम भटके हो, तुम मटके हो." So what difference it makes? भौतिक जगत में अटके हो. So what's the point? So you just continue on. So even if sometimes you can't find an answer, which shloka in Gita says this, how do I refute him? You just speak confidently. You should know you have Srila Prabhupada, all the Acharyas, and the whole philosophy behind you, backing you. So don't be bewildered. Just preach Krishna consciousness boldly and fearlessly. And you will get all the help and inspiration from all the great souls. So there are many questions and there could be a lot of interactions, but we are limited by time. So we have the second last program right now, which is going to be some kind of a pantomime show, and then please stay on for the kirtan, and then there will be prasad for all the students. So I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart, and hope and pray that you continue to attend these programs. The next Prerna program will be on August 24th, Saturday. So we hope that all of you will come again and also bring many of your other friends. This will be a monthly festival which will be held for all the youth here in Bombay in all the colleges and other programs. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki